ArcGIS Pro includes a feature called Tasks that'll allow you to build a set of instructions right into the interface. This will allow you to standardize procedures by documenting the steps required for moving through a workflow. Tasks can help organizations train users on how to properly process incoming data from the field or otherwise maintain a standard operating procedure. The nice thing about creating a task list is that you can be as specific as you need to and tailor the instruction for the abilities of your intended audience. To create a new task in your ArcGIS Pro project, go up to the Insert tab, and then click on Task, and then New Task Item. That'll create a new task item and open up the Task Designer. Now if you missed it, it also added in a new folder to our project pane called Tasks, where you can find the task item right there. Let's go ahead and switch back to the Task Designer. On the left side of the screen, we have the Tasks pane, and on the right side of the screen, we have the Task Designer pane. We're going to use both of these panes in order to create our task. First, I'll come over to the Task pane on the left and click on the title right here at the very top. That'll activate the Task Designer where we can type in the new name for our task here. I'll call this task Segment Airports by Country. The description for this task will be, this task walks the user through the process of selecting airports by country and outputting them to a new feature class in the project geodatabase. When I press Enter, that updates the task pane on the left side of the screen. Then, we just need to start creating our task to walk the users through the steps that are required in order to select our airports. We'll start by creating a new task group. I'll press on this button, the second one in from the left. That'll create our new group, and the Task Designer updates to reflect the new group. Let's give this group a name, and we'll call it Select Country. The description will be, use the navigation tools on the Map tab to zoom into and select the target country. Then we'll come back over to the Tasks pane, and we'll add in a new task into our task group. We can do that with this button here. The first task in our process is to select the country. I'll come over here to the name, and I'll change that to Select Country. This time I'll just go ahead and leave the description blank, and we'll come back over to the left side, and we'll add a new step. That'll start up a slightly different interface that'll list out the different steps that we need to accomplish in order to complete the task. It starts off with a single step, this first one here called New Step, and we can go back over to the Task Designer to fill in the step. The first step will be Change to the Map tab. We can fill in a pop-up tooltip that'll show up when the user accesses this task. We can also specify some additional instructions, or a Run Proceed instructions that'll appear at the very bottom of the task pane on the left-hand side. Whenever a user enters a new task, they need to press the Run button to start it, and then complete the task, and then when they're done completing the task, they'll press the Finish button to move on to the next step. We can streamline this process a little bit. Right now, the step behavior is currently set to manual. If I change it to Auto Run, then the user, when they're going through the different steps, they won't have to press two different buttons here on the bottom. They can just press the Finish button when they've completed each step to move on to the next one. So that's our first step, to change to the Map tab. Let's go ahead and add in another step. I'll press the New Step button. The next step is to press the Full Extent button. We'll go over here to the name section, and we'll type in Press Full Extent button. Again, I'll switch this to Auto Run, and then we'll add in another step. The next step is to select the Explore tool. I'll switch it to Auto Run, and we'll add in another step. This step will be Zoom into Country of Interest. This time I will add some additional instructions. I'll type press and hold the Shift key to draw out a rectangle to zoom in on an area. We'll add another step here, and its name is going to be press the Select button. And the instructions for this will be look for the Select button in the Map tab on the ribbon. And our final step for this action is to click on the country of interest. We'll add one more step, and we'll change its name. I'll go ahead and change this step behavior to Auto Run, and I think I forgot to actually change that on a couple of these, so I'll flip back to some of these other steps and just make sure that they're all set to Auto Run. And it looks like we're good on the rest of these. So these are all the steps that make up our first task. When we're done, press the back button to return to the task list. And now we can add in a second task. I'll press the New Task button. This task will be Select the Airports. And the description will be use the country boundary to select airports within. Then we'll go back to the task pane on the left, and we'll add in our first step for this task. The first step for this task is to click the Select by Location button. And for the instructions, this button is also on the Map tab. We'll add another step, and this step is fill in the geoprocessing details. The instructions for this will be the input feature layer should be airports, relationship within, and selecting features countries. And we'll add in one additional step. The last step will be run the tool. Instructions for this, press the run button. So that was a lot of steps, and we could keep adding instructions on the process of selecting the airports and exporting them to a new feature class, but I think by now you probably have a good idea of how this works. Let's just go back and review where we're at. Let's close the Task Designer by clicking on the X in the upper right-hand corner. That'll return our task pane to an uneditable state, and we'll go back into the project pane, and we'll close the tasks pane on the far right. Now, in our project pane, we have a new folder called Tasks, and inside of that, we have a single task called Segment Airports by Country. If we double-click on it, it'll start up the task, where we have a task group called Select Country, and two tasks underneath. Select the country, and then select the airports. In order to see the individual steps in each of these tasks, click on this arrow button to the right-hand side. That'll open it up, and begin the process of running through our steps. Let's go ahead and press the back button. It's going to tell me that the current task is in progress, and if I want to interrupt that task, I'll just go ahead and say yes to that. If you need to go back into the designer to continue making changes to your tasks, just right-click on one of these items and choose Edit in Designer. That'll open up the task designer on the right-hand side again. To edit the individual task steps, just come over here and press the hidden Open Task button that appears when you hover over the task group. Then we can click on each individual step, and we can even drag them to rearrange them if we wanted to. Let's go ahead and drag and drop this one back up here to position 2. To finish working in the designer, all you need to do is go ahead and close it down again by pressing the X in the upper right-hand corner. Your task will automatically be saved to the project file. Now we have a task that begins the process of selecting airports based on the country that they're in. You saw how to add groups, tasks, and steps, and some of the options that are available. Filling in as many of the details as you can will make it easier for your users to follow along, and we'll see what their experience is like using the task in the next movie.